Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld1 YouTube channel. Swallowed Star 2, Land of Origin. Volume 12, Lord Luo Feng. Chapter 436 Take Action. 11th of Volume 12. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. I agree. Lord Mingwang's eyes lit up. We've been too timid before. With our current strength, we can completely occupy all the origin worlds in the infinite Xuanhuan space. Luo Feng nodded. We care most about the origin worlds, but the Xuanhuan lifeforms care about all evolutionary resources. The origin worlds are just one among many evolutionary resources. Wu Lan laughed heartily. Among the various races of Xuanhuan lifeforms, some have little need for origin worlds. If we only claim the origin worlds and abandon other resources, many races should be quite willing with that. The hostility from the Xuanhuan lifeforms will be significantly reduced, Yuan agreed. This was a strategy to divide their enemies. If they were to expand their territory on a massive scale, claiming all resources, including the origin worlds, within it would likely unite many Xuanhuan ancestors against them. The innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction, the Ice Peak faction, and even some weaker factions might form an alliance. But if they only claimed the origin worlds, those races that didn't particularly need them would be far less inclined to fight to the death. The Lords focuses on comprehending the Tao, Luo Feng said, evolutionary resources hold little value for us. It's unnecessary to make enemies of the entire space over such resources, especially when there exist beings who are truly immortal. Pushing the immortal beings too far into conflict with the practitioner faction would be unsustainable for both sides. Luo Feng, since we are expanding to over 5,000 world clusters, do you think we can claim this territory? Lord Xingmeng waved his hand, summoning a temporal spatial map of the infinite Xuanhuan space. He outlined a territory roughly equivalent in size to the practitioner faction's current domain. Luo Feng nodded. This territory encompasses 1,600 world clusters, second only in density to our current domain. If we secure this area, we would control 20% of the valuable territory in the infinite Xuanhuan space. Considering the future resource needs of the practitioner faction's successors, 20% is more than sufficient. The Lords present nodded in agreement. This territory could, with some difficulty, accommodate a time-space network, Lord Xingmeng observed, nodding slightly. However, the complexity of its construction would far exceed that of our existing network within the practitioner faction. The territories were roughly equal in size. One consisted of the 3,600 world cluster, while the other comprised the 1,600 world cluster, which included vast stretches of barren, dark regions, making the deployment of the time-space network far more challenging. We must secure this territory, Yuan said. We need to pose a sufficient threat to the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction. If they refuse to hand over all the origin worlds, we'll continue expanding our territory. There are two options, Lord Xingmeng said with a smile, nodding. They'll likely prefer to surrender all the origin worlds, but the Infinite Serpent clan will resist fiercely. The Infinite Serpent clan desperately needed the origin world's source origin. Momin also smiled and said, as long as there's internal strife within the innate chaos origin race, how much trouble can the Infinite Serpent clan alone cause? First, we'll seize the 1,600 world cluster to intimidate the innate Xuanhuan lifeform faction and deter all factions. Then we'll negotiate. We'll give up further expansion in exchange for all the origin worlds. Yuan turned to the other lords. Do you all agree? Agreed. Agreed. Lord Jin, Lord Wu Lan, Lord Mingwang, Lord Negu, Lord Xingmeng, Lord Momin, and Lord Luo Feng, all 7 lords, unanimously approved the plan. They would absolutely occupy 20% of the territory and then dominate all the origin worlds within the remaining 80%. All 8 lords felt this was sufficient. Xingmeng, please refine the plan, Yuan said, looking at Lord Xingmeng. Once the detailed plan is finalized, we'll begin our operation. Okay, Lord Xingmeng nodded. He would observe countless possible futures and devise a plan with the highest probability of success. Then let's practice our coordinated maneuvers first, Yuan said, turning to the 7 lords. I need to create several formations tailored to our capabilities. Haha, I've been itching to see how strong you two have become, Yuan and Luo Feng, Lord Wu Lan said with a laugh. Let's begin, Lord Jin said, clearly eager. The 8 lords, each using only a weak cloned 10% of their energy reserves, conducted their coordination drills in the land of origin. As a mysterious land, it couldn't withstand the full power training of the lords, main combat clones. This practice session left the other 7 lords astonished by Luo Feng's strength. Yuan's formations had also reached an astonishing level of perfection, even more refined than before, maximizing the group's combined power. This filled the lords with unparalleled confidence. Abyss of Destruction, 20th level. The Bingfeng Xuanhuan ancestor, transformed into a majestic ice mountain, sensed Yuan suddenly enter his level from the 19th level. Naturally opening his eyes, he looked at the familiar figure with curiosity. Brother Yuan, the Bingfeng Hunyuan ancestor addressed him. Could Yuan be challenging him? Just passing through, Yuan replied with a faint smile, continuing his journey into deeper layers of time-space. The Bingfeng Hunyuan ancestor was somewhat astonished. What's going on? The infinite serpent Hunyuan ancestor on the 21st level and the Mo Shu on the 22nd level both watched Yuan rush past and enter deeper levels. This also drew the attention of some Hunyuan ancestors in the infinite Hunyuan space to Yuan. The 23rd to 25th levels were unclaimed. Anyone entering these levels would inevitably be attacked by realm envoys. Boom. Yuan strolled leisurely, surrounded by a protective formation that rendered the realm envoys' attacks futile. The realm envoys were disoriented within the formation, their attacks veering off course. Yuan effortlessly passed through the 23rd and 24th levels, ultimately leaving an imprint on the phantom origin of the 25th level. What? How is this possible? All factions were stunned. The power dynamics of the Abyss of Destruction had been clear. Luo Feng dominated the 34th level, with Xiazhou and Lord Xingmeng occupying the 27th and 26th levels respectively. Below them were the Mo Shu, the infinite serpent Hunyuan ancestor, Bingfeng Hunyuan ancestor, and Yuan, all clustered around the 22nd level and lower. Yet now, Yuan had effortlessly seized the 25th level. Judging by the ease with which he had done so, he clearly hadn't even exerted his full strength. In the infinite Hunyuan space, the top 4 in direct combat strength are all from the practitioner faction. The advantage of comprehending Hunyuan level Dao is that significant. The Hunyuan ancestors felt a bitter taste in their hearts. The infinite Hunyuan space housed over 200 Hunyuan ancestors and only 8 lords. Yet these 8 lords, upon their ascension, became immortal, possessing overwhelming direct combat strength. Even among us Hunyuan ancestors, some have fallen throughout history. Those who have survived to this day are already remarkably strong. Yet even the weakest of these 8 lords ranks among the top 20. While in terms of numbers and overall strength, the combined power of all the innate Hunyuan ancestors surpasses them. After all, there are over 200 of us, the gap in individual power is still vast. Though the factions appeared divided into the practitioner faction, innate Hunyuan lifeform faction, Ice Peak faction, and various smaller factions, fundamentally, there were only 2 types of life. One type consisted of beings from the origin world who had cultivated to become lords. There were only 8 of them. The other type consisted of Hunyuan lifeforms who had ascended to become Hunyuan ancestors. There were over 200 of them, with 22 being immortal. Yuan's effortless conquest of the 25th level of the Abyss of Destruction had indeed electrified all the Hunyuan ancestors. The 27th level. Xiazhou watched as a familiar figure approached her domain. Sister Xiazhou, Yuan said with a smile, his gaze steady. I never thought the little guy from back then would catch up to me, Xiazhou remarked, her eyes lingering on Yuan. Come one, let's see how much you have improved. Yuan nodded. A fierce battle erupted, drawing the distant gazes of numerous Hunyuan ancestors and lords. Xiazhou's aura remained as awe-inspiring as ever, capable of shaking the very foundations of heaven and earth. Yet Yuan's formations proved as vast as the cosmos itself, absorbing every attack and retaliating with equal force. The clash ended in a stalemate. Xiazhou's power couldn't breach Yuan's layered defenses, and Yuan's attacks proved futile against her. As Xiazhou observed Yuan, she transmitted telepathically, did Luo Feng tell you about the destruction fruit? Yuan paused, taken aback. He had gleaned information about the destruction fruit from Luo Feng's intelligence, but he was unaware of Xiazhou's previous proposal. I'll ask Luo Feng, he replied. After quickly contacting Luo Feng privately, Yuan finally understood the full context. Sister Xiazhou, Yuan transmitted, have you agreed to fully join the practitioner faction? Even if it means opposing the Bingfeng Hunyuan ancestor and all the Hunyuan lifeform and Hunyuan ancestors, will you stand with us in every advance and retreat? I didn't say I'd join you, Xiazhou said through a voice transmission, I said. I would wholeheartedly support you. I can help you deal with the innate Hunyuan lifeform faction, and even if you're at odds with the Ice Peak faction, I'll remain neutral. Yuan shook his head slightly. He knew Xiazhou too well. At her core, Xiazhou was cold and ruthless. Except for her loyalty to Bingfeng Hunyuan ancestor, she could be utterly merciless. Luo Feng said he exchanged his destruction fruit for treasures and no longer has it, Yuan stated, then turned and left. Exchanged it for treasures. And now it's gone. Xiazhou was stunned. During her attempt at the Mountain of Destruction, she had only managed to defeat 2 of the sculptures. The 3rd sculpture had completely overwhelmed her, leaving her with no hope of victory. Kafusho had also already exchanged his destruction fruit for a suit of battle armor, leaving Luo Feng as her only remaining hope to obtain one. Given his strength in occupying the 34th level, even if he exchanged the destruction fruit for treasures, those treasures would likely greatly enhance his power. He might then defeat another sculpture and acquire another fruit, Xiazhou thought. From her perspective, the likelihood that Luo Feng still possessed at least one destruction fruit was very high. The land of origin. The 8 lords gathered, each in their main combat clone form. Xiaozhou and Luo Feng both mentioned the destruction fruit to me, Yuan said, looking worried. Based on what I know about her, she clearly craves that fruit. Brother Yuan, don't let your emotions cloud your judgment, Lord Xingmeng said, shaking his head. Xiaozhou's true nature is cold and ruthless. Even if she gets one destruction fruit, she'll still hunger for a second. She'll never serve us indefinitely just because of a single fruit. Luo Feng listened silently from the side. After mastering the Chaos Destruction Realm, he had indeed defeated the 5th sculpture and could have claimed a destruction fruit. But Luo Feng didn't trust Xiaozhou and refused to nurture a potential rival. This operation requires us to face numerous Xuanhuan ancestors, immortal beings. As for Xiaozhou, don't give her much thought, Lord Xingmeng said. Everyone nodded, having a clear understanding of the detailed plan. Yuan smiled. Then let's set out. Our first objective is to seize the 1600 world cluster. Luo Feng, you'll need to be ruthless when the time comes. Slice those Xuanhuan ancestors apart just like you did to me, Lord Wulan said with a chuckle. During their sparring match, Lord Wulan had been split in two to experience the full extent of Luo Feng's blade, which could slay all things. Don't worry, Luo Feng replied. A murderous intent brewed in Luo Feng's heart. Even during sparring with the lords, he had held back. Since mastering the Chaos Destruction Realm, he had never unleashed his full power against an enemy. This time, he would finally be able to fight to his heart's content. This should be quite entertaining, Lord Momen said with a smile. I can't wait, Lord Jin said, his battle fervor burning brightly. Lord Mingwang smiled faintly, while Lord Negu's eyes gleamed with bloodlust. Lord Xingmeng, who controlled time-space, led the group consisting of Lord Yuan, Lord Wulan, Lord Mingwang, Lord Negu, Lord Jin, Lord Momen, and Lord Luo Feng. The 8 lords departed the land of origin and headed straight for their target territory. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.